Hey guys, Jason Reichard, Crazy Blessed Fishing. So check it out. If you live anywhere in Missouri, you know it's just colder and don't get up right now. Today's our last warm day. The last day will be, I guess, above freezing for like 5 days. I don't know. Anyways, it's gonna get cold. We're gonna get some snow. That's the way it is. But check it out. I've been looking at the weather and we are coming up on March. And everything is showing that we're gonna be high 40s, low 60s once we round the corner this weekend into March. That being said, guys, I've been here this is coming up on my 5th year in Missouri. So I've had 4 springs now in Missouri. And I'll tell you what, now's the time to start fishing. If you guys want to catch a big fish on Table Rock, on Bull Shoals, on Lake of the Ozarks, now's the time. The fish are going to start getting shallower. It's going to open it up to where you don't need electronics. You can actually get out 2D sonar and catch big fish on Table Rock, Bull Shoals, and Lake of the Ozarks. Pomme de Terre, I went up there once this winter. I'm going to go back this spring. I'm going to make a spring trip up there and learn that lake. But I'm telling you guys, right now is the time. Get out and fish. After this cold snap, get out, start pounding, and get to fishing. I'm going to go through some of this later on, and I'll show you all my big fish, 5, 6, 7 pound, have all come this time of year off of Table Rock, off of Bull Shoals, or out of Lake of the Ozarks. All of them. So it's that big fish time of year for our area. So let's break it down. I'm going to show you what I fish this time of year. I've changed all my lineup. I took the last couple of days, changed all my lineup over to springtime bass fishing, early springtime bass fishing, but springtime bass fishing nonetheless. So I'm going to start off showing you guys the rods that I'm using, what I've got tied on. I'd really like to hear you guys catch some big fish and throw it up on the channel, or at least write back to me and let me know that this helped you catch some big fish and put bigger fish than average in the boat. We all love to fish, we all like to go fishing, but there's nothing the adrenaline of catching your personal best out on a lake this time of year. There's nothing more exciting. So let's do this. All right, guys, so you all know that I'm a jerkbait guy. I love to fish jerkbait. That's my thing. That's what I like to fish. You also know that I fish a lot of rock crawler, wiggle wort, mainly rock crawler, but I do throw some wiggle worts from time to time. So we're going to get started off with my absolute favorite this time of year. You know it. You've seen me throw it. You've seen me catch a lot of 4s and 5s on this thing. And that is that Vision 110, Megabass Vision 110 in the Kinkuro color. Standard depth, that's the only way they make it in the Kinkuro color, is just a standard. They don't make it in a +1. They don't make it in the Junior. That's the only way they make that bait. Telling you guys, there's just something about it. On Table Rock, on Bull Shoals, this is the go-to color. It's just almost unbeatable this time of year. I usually have 3 or 4 of these in my tackle box this time of year, or in my backup tackle box, just to make sure that I've got them. And I never leave the house without 2, just in case you get hung up or your buddy doesn't have one. But that is the ticket. I throw that on a X-Pride 610 medium. That rod is just, it's phenomenal for throwing that bait, that Vision 110. And that's got a Lew's custom light on there. I'm turning into a more Lew's fan the more of their reels I use. Can't say enough about it, guys. That is the ticket. So next one that I throw a lot of, if it's more of a cloudy day, that is the Megabass Vision 110 Junior, standard depth dive, not the +1, just the standard, in that matte shad. If it's a little overcast, guys, that thing just gets it done. It works, really, really does. Same thing, got an Aldebaran reel though, X-Pride 610 medium with an Aldebaran reel. Same rod for a jerkbait. New this year, I'm going to be throwing, this is the Shimano Zumverno with that boost. I don't know if you can see that in there. Yeah, you can see it on there. With that extra little shimmer in there. That's flash boost. I'm really excited because if you look, with that flash boost, once that thing stops moving, I've thrown the World Minnow quite a bit, and I've liked it, but I didn't like the color selection. Well, look at that. Megabass Vision 110 Kinkuro, and your Zumverno. Almost identical colors. I'm super excited for this. I think that's going to be a really, really good matchup, and I really like the way that Zumverno has that secondary action. Now that is on a Megabass 110 special with an Aldebaran reel. I really like these rods, especially if I'm throwing a little bit lighter jerkbait. That Megabass Vision 110, the Megabass 110 special really can send that thing. I really like that rod. So that's it for my jerkbait lineup for the start of the year. I've also went ahead and hooked up a D-Shad. Now that is the Yamamoto D-Shad, and I've nose hooked him. And man, I'll tell you what, guys, if those bass are going to be spooky whenever they move up shallow immediately. And I catch a lot of fish on that D-Shad whenever they're up shallow, because you can flip that over there, and whenever they run up to it, they can't see the hooks. It's a lot more fluid movement. It looks a little bit more alive, and boy, they just blast it. Now, nose hook like that, I use a number 3 owner twist lock on there. I don't know if you can see that there. Yeah, there you go. So with that owner twist lock, I don't have to worry about that nose pulling out or that hook pulling out of that nose, and you can catch 3 or 4 more fish on it than you can just with it being regular hooked. I always nose hook it. I know that you can hook them weedless. That works out pretty weedless, and I just like throwing it with the nose hook. That's just the way I fish them. Fished them like that for a long time. Next up, you all know it. Red River Craw in the rock crawler. Spro rock crawler, Red River Craw. My absolute favorite for table rock and bull shoals. Just a go-to bait. Absolutely love that thing. I bought this rod last year. This is a Jewel Veritas, and it's the Wart crawler rod, and that is a Craw 70 reel. Love this setup. I really like it. It's a 7.4 ratio reel, and it just gets it done. It casts a mile, and the nice thing about it is I don't got to worry about my speed and watch my cadence so much because it's a slower reel, so I've not got to worry about how much I'm cranking that thing. I tend to get a little bit antsy and crank too fast. So one thing I will say about that whenever I'm fishing in the spring is I'm working it as slow as I can. As long as it's thumping off them rocks, that's all I'm worried about. Make sure it's thumping off the rocks, and then I may burn it half a turn and then thump it back off the rocks. And then burn it half a turn, maybe burn it a full turn, but I don't really burn it more than a full turn, and then I'm back to just easy working it. As long as it's down there in the rocks, that's where I want it. So I'll fish that a lot. Another one of my staples, which you guys haven't seen me throw a lot. It doesn't seem to do as well out here as it did out west, but that's a bladed jig, and that is the new, it's not the jackhammer, it's the new version of jackhammer. Wow, the name escapes me. I'll log it down in the, wow, I just can't remember. Anyways, Chatterbait makes it Evo. There you go. It's the new Evo, and I really like that. I don't like it as much as the jackhammer, but I'll tell you what, it's less than half the price. So you tend to like it whenever it's that much less than a jackhammer is the Evo. I pair that up with a spunk shad, And I'll do a full report on this guy. I haven't ever done one of those. But like I say, I like it out here, but I don't like it. I like it more on bull shoals than I do on table rock. Just way bull shoals is set up with more brush in the water. I like to fish that around brush or grass, and it just works out a lot better on bull shoals. At least where I fish bull shoals is compared to where I fish table rock. I like it much better on bull shoals, but that's one of my go-to items out here as well. Be a little bit further down the road, but it's just next to the lineup, so I'm going to show you a Wacky rigged Cinco. Man, I'll tell you what, the fish that this thing has put in the boat, and quality fish and just just fish, period. Dinks, everything, but big fish as well, has put in the boat is just astronomical. If you got kids and you can get them out around the end of March, 1st of April, my sister's coming out 1st of April again, that's what I have her throw. It just works. I mean, you can't beat it. Now, I will say that you do need to throw that on as sensitive a rod as you got. This is a this is a G Loomis NRX rod, and another lose reel. I forgot I put that on there. I paired that up last year with that lose reel. That's that Custom Pro. I'm going to digress for a minute. Bass Pro has this thing on sale right now, guys, for $100 off. I think the reel is normally $279. I think it's $179 right now. I can't say enough about it. This is a good reel. It's a very nice reel, good price. Just love this thing. So if you're in the market for a reel right now, that's at Lew's Custom Pro. And like I say, Bass Pro's got it on sale right now for, yeah, $179. It's really $279. Anyways, sorry about that. This setup is super light, and I can tell you, so this is the G Loomis NRX, and this is an 802C and jig worm rod. It's a little bit, I'm not a jig fan. It's not a jig rod for me, but I can tell you, with as sensitive as it is for a Cinco, because you know that Cinco bite, whenever you throw it up, it's not really a, throw it up to shallow, let it sink, pop it one time, then reel it back to the boat. If they're up shallow, they'll eat it. If they're not gonna. I don't really bounce it or do anything with it. I let it on the fall. That's why I'm saying you got to have a sensitive rod, because the fact is you got to be able to feel and pick that thing up, or be watching your line and watch that line shake whenever they eat it, because that's all you're going to see of it. And if you're not careful, guys, they will eat the thing. And I mean, whenever I say they'll eat it all the way, and you're going to be pulling a hook. It's a pain in the butt. So having a good rod that's really sensitive really will save your butt with doing that. Plus, you're going to catch a lot more fish with it. Next on my list is a jig. Out here, I really like the go-to color in the dirty jigs, and that's the 3/8 ball head, and with a Yamamoto twin grub tail, and that's in that cinnamon purple. I'll tell you what, early spring, this thing is hard to beat. And what I will say is, on table rock, I like throwing a little bit lighter jig. And the reason for it is, it seems like I don't get wedged in the rock nearly as bad. I've thrown football heads and I still get wedged in the rock with that round head being lighter. I just don't have nearly the problem with it. Now, that's another Expired rod. It's a 7'2" heavy, and that is a Craw reel. Really like the Craw. It's a little bit cheaper than the Metanium, and it gets it done. It casts nice, but I'll tell you what, it's a beast of a reel. You can really crank on them with that. That's my next lineup for springtime. War Eagle. I can't say enough about War Eagle. So War Eagle is a spinnerbait of choice for me. That's that blue herring. Again, table rock and bull shoals. That thing is just key. It works. Day in and day out, it works. This time of year, when it first comes to spring, if I see them bass still bunched up and I don't have an A-rig with me, I'll throw that out there, let it sink down and pull it through them, and they will flat eat that just like they'll eat an A-rig. I mean, it just is amazing at how deep you can fish that thing. I mean, 20, 25 foot of water in the early spring. and still catch giants on it. So that's that. And whenever the shad spawn goes on, that's the same one I'll use, the shad spawn, whenever I'm throwing it right up on the bank. But early spring, I'll be fishing it out deeper. I throw that on a Zodius, and that's a 6'8" or 6'10". 6'10" Zodius medium heavy, and that is another lose reel. I can't believe how many lose reels I've just turned up with in the last year. And that's just a Pro SP Team Lose. It's a skipping reel. I've not perfected the skip method yet, but I keep it on there because it does work and it throws a spinnerbait really nicely. And it's not got a lot of line on it. So if you are throwing it up to the bank, it's pretty nice. Found this a couple of years back and had a real problem throwing square bills, lighter square bills. And I finally found the setup for it. Out of all the things, this is a Halo Scott Canterbury. It's a 7-foot medium heavy power, believe it or not. I mean, if you look at it, it don't look like no medium heavy power, but medium heavy power. And this is on a Lose Custom Light SS. So it's a lower end bait finesse reel. I wouldn't say you could throw bait finesse on it, but for throwing light, that's that Rocco balsa, the Rocco, Rapala Rocco 5. Man, I'll tell you what, for throwing that, you can throw the thing a mile and it just works. It's a good setup for that. And with the amount of bend that this rod has and as sensitive as it is, it really works that bait nicely. That Rocco has just come out a few years ago. And man, I'll tell you what, the startup on it is fast. Fishing it around brush piles and things, the shallow brush piles, it's unbelievable at how fast the startup that thing has. And I fish it more like a jerkbait than anything else. Whenever I'm fishing that, I just, you know, you can pause it around the stumps, you can pause it around the logs, and I mean, it's going and you can stop it and then rip it and take it off, and it comes up to speed so fast. It's just an amazing bait. After that, I like a flat side earlier in the spring, and that is that STC. It's the Megabass version of a flat side. Really like that bait, and I like it in that color. I'll have to get you the color, but that is the color. And what I'm doing is I'm throwing that on a Jewel Veritas rod in the blue diamond. This is supposed to be a stick bait rod. Whenever I was doing research and trying to find the absolute best jerkbait rod I could find, I came across this, I bought it. Would not buy it for a jerkbait, but for a square bill, I absolutely love this thing. I'm in love with it for a square bill. So paired that up with a Corrado 70, and that, this system works. Next thing for me is the Bill Lewis ATV. And the thing that I like about the ATVs is they will come through anything. I don't care if it's wood, limbs, brush, stumps, rock, it just comes through it. I don't see how the thing can be as weedless as it is, but man, I mean, it's almost got to play a game trying to see if you can get it hung up or not. If you don't throw it in a tree on dry land, it ain't getting hung up. It's kind of crazy, but I love this thing. This is another jerkbait rod that I bought, and it's actually jerkbait square bill, so I'll give them that. But it is that combat stick, and it absolutely is horrible as a jerkbait rod. But biggest fish I ever caught on table rock came out on this rod, and I was fishing, actually at the time I had a rock crawler, Spro rock crawler, and I believe that was in Phantom Green. But that's quite a rod for a rock crawler rod, or I really like it better as throwing that ATV. It just works. I really like it throwing that ATV. And again, that's a Shimano Corrado 70 right there. That's at 71 because I'm in a left-hand reel guy. So it's a Corrado 71, same as the 70 though. Really like that That's a good setup for square bill fishing. I mean, it's just top notch, absolutely top notch. Next time out on the water, so probably Saturday or Sunday, depending on when it warms up more. That Lipless, that's an LV500, Lucky Craft LV500. Boy, I'll tell you what, I can't say enough. That's about the only Lipless that I throw anymore. Threw some Bill Lewis's, used to throw a bunch of different Lipless. That is my go-to Lipless now. 3/4 of an ounce. I mean, listen to this thing rattle. It's just, it's unbelievable. There. I mean, that thing is just, it's loud. It's super loud. Absolutely love that bait. That's, if I'm throwing a Lipless, 99% chance that it's going to be an LV500. I just can't say enough about that. It works really well. That's put on a ducket rod, only ducket rod I own, and I actually bought it for more deep cranking. But I'll tell you what, it fits the square bill. I mean, the Lipless perfect. I mean, it just fits that bait like you wouldn't believe. And that's a 7'6" medium heavy, and it's a cranking rod, but didn't care for it too much for cranking. But I'll tell you what, for the Lipless, absolutely love that thing. Same thing. If I'm fishing, if I find the fish are out a little bit deeper still, or I'm seeing something that I want to look at, if I find a ball of shad or trees that I'm seeing fish on, I keep that VCM underspin ready to go. Now that is a Largo shad in, yeah, that's Sexy Shad. That's our Sexy Shad color. With that underspin, that's a VCM underspin with a wide gap weedless. I'll throw that a lot still in the spring around the trees. Even if I see them staged on a bluff where that bluff breaks off hard, I'll throw that out there, reel it back, let it fall off, and then start it up again, and they will eat that quite a bit. So that's basically my two things that I have in lieu of an A-rig. Because here's the thing that I find, guys. If I've got that A-rig on the deck, it pretty much takes up its whole own side of the deck. And especially whenever you're buzzing from spot to spot. Because in the spring, I move a lot. I'm not staying in one spot. I'm buzzing all over the lake, fishing flats, fishing up close, you know, points, secondary points, primary points that drop off deeper. I'm fishing a lot of different ways in the spring, because what I find is you might catch one or two small ones, but those fish are starting to bunch up, and eventually if you work it right, you'll pull out a big female. It just happens. So I'm moving a lot in the spring until I'm finding where they're pushing up to. Normally right now, you know, it'll be primary points, and they'll start to be moving up a little bit. Then it'll be secondary points. You know how it works. Anyways, guys, that's what I'm going to be throwing. This is my spring fishing lineup. This is what I do every spring. This is where I will start out. So I hope this helps. I hope this gives you a better baseline. And if you've got any questions, I'm appreciating all the questions, guys. It keeps me motivated to keep putting out more videos, and you guys watching, and the feedback is just awesome. I really do appreciate it. It's a lot of fun for me, and to be passing on some knowledge. You know, it was a big learning curve moving out here from out west, where we mainly did drop shot, and that was a lot of my fishing out there, was spinning reels and drop shot. So out here, it's a lot more fun to have all the different array of fishing. So anyways, guys, I'm learning too as we go, but it's been working out really nicely. So said that to say this. Now is the time of year. It's going to be a little bit cold in the morning, but I'll throw up some, like I said, I'll throw up some pictures with the date stamps on them. March to April is the absolute best time for Table Rock, Bull Shoals, and Lake of the Ozarks. I know everybody says winter's the best, this is the best. I can tell you, for guys of getting your personal best and being a newer fisherman, this is the time of year. Get your boat, get out, and get out on the water and catch some fish. Anyways, guys, I hope this helps. And like I say, again, one more time, I do appreciate you guys watching. Keeps me motivated to do more videos even when it's cold like this. So anyways, guys, have a blessed week. We'll talk to you soon. Thanks for tuning in.